crowded, but it should be very exciting to see that many people on board the International Space Station.
And those call-outs that we just heard were they were doing a comm check with the Crew Dragon communications because they've now taken off their suits. They have comms through their suits, but since they're not going to be wearing their suits anymore, they need to use the comms
very
through
exciting
Dragon.
To see that many people on board.
Very exciting. Sounds like they're out. Those call-outs that we just heard were they were doing a comm check with the Crew Dragon
we will
communications
begin
because they've now taken off their suits.
Those
They
hatches
have comms
so that the crew can finally ingress onto the space station. So it will take a little bit of time, but we will be here with you through every step of the way. Joining us, the Crew 2 crew has finally docked to the International Space Station after an approximately 23-hour ride from Earth to the station. Again, they are going to be performing a few procedures here before the Crew 2 can ingress onto the space station. They will be opening the A-Pass hatch, which is the space station side hatch, followed by the Dragon hatch. But this will take some time. They will need to repressurize the vestibule in between those two hatches before the crew can ingress.
That's right, the umbilical on the Dragon side has been fully extended to provide power, communications, data from the International Space Station to the Dragon, so the Dragon no longer needing to rely on its own power systems. Are open. Because you have to control the stations. Station side. Hello. open it up and remove, once the vestibule is finalized, open that up and remove the docking target and install some padding onto the APAS hatch so that there's no unnecessary contact as astronauts are coming through the hatch from Crew Dragon to come inside of the forward end of the International Space Station. There you go. So Victor Glover on the International Space Station side already going through his procedures to get the hatches configured for ingress, essentially supporting the opening of the hatches, repressurizing the vestibule. There's a lot to happen before we can open up the hatch and welcome the crew on the inside. The umbilical has been fully extended, and we just got confirmation that Dragon is drawing power from the International Space Station, so the solar arrays on the station providing power downstream to the Dragon. Dragon no longer needing to rely on its power. That officially confirmed.
The F-15EX Eagle II has landed. At a widely publicized naming and unveiling ceremony at Eglin Air Force Base, the U.S. Air Force's new tactical fighter was inducted into service, the newest of the iconic F-15s, flexing its muscle and expanded weapons carriage in full air-to-air configuration.
As they'll be together for the next few days,
evident.
Until they have to say farewell to the
to accelerate delivery
Crew 1
of the two
astronauts
F-15EX aircraft from
aboard
the
the
normal
International Space Station.
39-month
Shannon
lead
Walker
time
handing over
to just 9 months
command
after
of the
contract
International
award.
Space Station.
Recently sighted cutting across the Gulf of Mexico over the beaches of Destin, Florida.
Before she does that, she's going to hand the command over to Aki Hoshide, who's currently on board Crew 2. He'll take the responsibility of International Space Station commander through the duration of Expedition 65 until he's ready to hand it off to the next crew. That all happening in the next couple of days.
The F-15EX brings a new level of air combat to the skies. Its advanced technology driven by a digital calling, fly-by-wire controls, an advanced cockpit with large area displays, digitally designed to increase aircrew.
Crew Dragon Endeavour is docked to the International Space Station as we speak. The crew on board the space station as well as Crew 2 are preparing for a couple procedures here for hatch opening. That is the hatch opening on the space station side as well as the Crew Dragon hatch. And this will take approximately an hour, a little over an hour and a half to walk through all of these procedures. So though Crew 2 is at
station on the Big Loop, no 2 forward hatch is open.
And Ike, we copy, and you are go to continue through step 2, pressurizing vestibule.
Continue through step 2.
As I mentioned, they are walking through several procedures to get those 2 hatches open. As you can hear, that communication between Victor Glover on board the station with the ground team helping him out with the procedures.
That first hatch that he mentioned is the Node 2 forward hatch. From inside the Node 2 segment of the International Space Station, there are 3 hatches to get from Node 2 all the way down to the Dragon itself.
Dragon SpaceX, if desired, reference procedure 4.400 for monitoring vestibule pressurization.
Copy 4.400 for vestibule depress.
So now that Node 2 forward hatch is open, Victor Glover inside the pressurized mating adapter. Down the PMA is the A-pass hatch, the hatch that separates the International Space Station now from the Dragon. With the Node 2 forward hatch open, Victor Glover can work to manually pressurize the vestibule. And we just heard from here in Mission Control Hawthorne that the crew on board Dragon Endeavour will be able to monitor the vestibule pressurization on their displays from the side of the Crew Dragon. You're getting a live look at both of the flight control rooms.
Station on the big loop. A-pass equalization valve closed at 0938.
Houston copies 0938.
So you're looking at both of the flight control rooms on the left. SpaceX headquarters in Hawthorne, California. Flight controllers there successfully monitoring the navigation of Crew Dragon Endeavour that autonomously made its way from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida to the International Space Station, docking at 2:08 a.m. Pacific time, 5:08 a.m. Eastern. With the International Space Station as they've been flying over the South Indian Ocean. The control teams are now working to configure Dragon for its stay aboard the International Space Station. They've hard mated it using 12 hooks that drive to connect it to the International Docking Adapter, and have connected an umbilical and confirmed that power is being drawn from the space station to the Dragon, Dragon no longer needing to rely on its power source during its stay. All right, if you're just joining us, you're getting a live view of both of the control rooms. On the left is SpaceX Mission Control in Hawthorne, and on the right, Mission Control Houston with the International Space Station Flight Control Room. Crew Dragon Endeavour is officially docked to the International Space Station, and right now teams on both the station side and Dragon side are working to get ready to open up the hatches in between them. It's going to take some time until we get to that point where we're able to open up the hatches. Victor Glover on the station side is currently inside the pressurized mating adapter. He's working to manually pressurize the vestibule that exists between both of the hatches. It's going to take some time because that vestibule has been exposed to vacuum since before Crew Dragon just docked at 2:08 a.m. Pacific time, 5:08 a.m. Eastern time. And because it has been exposed to vacuum, the thermal environment causes it to have a little bit of oscillation as the pressure is rising. So they need to have some thermal equalization in the vestibule before beginning the pressurization to ensure that the leak checks are accurate. So they'll do a leak check on the way up to pressure, which is a little more than 14 pounds per square inch. They'll do a pressure check at 5 pounds per square inch, make sure everything's good, that the vestibule is holding pressure, and then they'll continue on up to match the pressure between the International Space Station and the Crew Dragon. In the meantime, Victor Glover will open up the A-Pass hatch on the International Space Station side. That's the hatch that separates the vestibule from the Dragon hatch. He'll outfit the A-Pass hatch by taking off the docking target, which is a long rod with an X on it, and was used for some of the optical navigation equipment on the Crew Dragon for Dragon's approach and eventual docking to the station. He'll remove that, he'll put some pads on the A-Pass hatch, make sure no one bumps their head on the way in. And then when he heads into the vestibule, there's a little window. Hopefully he'll be able to wave to his crewmates before they actually open up the hatch of the Dragon itself. After both hatches are open, the crews on both sides will get positioned. Well, first the Crew 2 astronauts will just make sure everything is okay on Endeavour's side before they go ahead and officially leave that vehicle. Crew from inside Endeavour will enter or ingress into the International Space Station one at a time, being greeted by the 7 crew members that are currently aboard the International Space Station, including Crew 1 astronauts. You have Mike Hopkins, Victor Glover, and Shannon Walker from NASA, and Soichi Noguchi from the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency. Also on board, arriving on a Russian Soyuz in April, earlier this month, was Mark Vandehei of NASA, and Oleg Novitsky and Pyotr Dubrov from Roscosmos.
Dragon SpaceX for audio configuration.
Go ahead for audio config.
Shane, we are about to transition to hardline audio with ISS.
Copy.
All right, so you just heard the confirmation. The Dragon and International Space Station are mated now by not only the International Docking Adapter, but there is an umbilical that's extending to the space station. We did have confirmation that we have power that's being drawn from the space station to the Dragon side, so they're configuring some of the other channels, including communication. So they'll configure that one at a time. Some of the sequence of events that's going to happen over the next couple of hours until as we continue to repressurize the vestibule and get the station and Dragon outfitted to eventually open up the hatches. We'll be with you throughout the entire duration of this sequence until we have those hatches open and provide a live coverage of a welcome ceremony, show the inside of the space station and the crews of Dragon, both Resilience and Endeavour, and of course...
Muy buenos días a todos, bienvenidos a NASANet.
The International Space Station now as part of Expedition 65, welcoming each other officially aboard.
And Endeavour Houston on 2 on the big loop for hardline. We are ready for comm checks with SpaceX, ISS, and Houston.
All right, so it's a little hard to see from this view. It's a external camera view aboard the International Space Station. On the port truss, you can sort of see the nose cone flipped up, but that's Crew Dragon Endeavour on the forward end of the station. It's hard mated using 12 hooks that have driven to hard capture Crew Dragon Endeavour to the International Space Station. It's also connected by umbilical to the station. We've confirmed that power is being drawn from the station to Dragon. Dragon no longer needing to rely on its own internal systems for power. That umbilical also provides a communication line. Now coming up will be a test of that communication line between the teams, between the Dragon itself, Crew Dragon Endeavour, and the International Space Station, and the ground teams, making sure that that connection that we've been hearing throughout the approach and docking phase of today's flight on the big loop.
SpaceX Houston in station. This is Endeavour. Comm check.
And SpaceX has you loud and clear, Endeavour.
And Houston has you loud and clear.
And this space station has you loud and clear on hardline. We copy it all on hardline. Loud and clear.
All right, so the same control teams that we've been hearing through the approach and docking phase of the flight on the big loop. That includes the SpaceX flight controllers in Mission Control Hawthorne. The voice you're hearing is Core or Crew Operations and Resource Engineer Arthur Berrialt. He confirmed from here in Hawthorne. From Mission Control Houston, Capcom Kathy Bolt confirmed the hardline communication network is working on board the International Space Station. That was the voice of Victor Glover, who's currently working through the procedures for opening up the hatches, including the repressurization of the vestibule. Still awaiting some temperature equalization there before that begins. But that'll be some of his next steps. And then aboard Crew Dragon Endeavour, Commander Shane Kimbrough confirming that hardline communication is working. So we got good power and good communication through the umbilical line to the Dragon from the International Space Station. We'll continue to provide periodic updates throughout this sequence of repressurizing the vestibule and opening up the hatches, configuring the Dragon and the International Space Station as they are mated together in space.
Estoy seguro de que cuando pase todo esto estaremos más preparados que nunca.
Preparados para volver a ser ese país al que vinieron 84 millones de personas el año pasado.
84 millones. ¿Y sabes por qué vinieron? Porque España es uno de los países más seguros del mundo.
Hombre, y también por nuestra gastronomía, ¿no? Nos gusta comer bien.
En España comer es cultura, comer es un derecho.
Por eso somos una primera potencia mundial en gastronomía. Un país competitivo, un país abierto, un país diverso.
Un gran país para invertir y un gran país para visitar.
Un país con centros de investigación e investigadores que están entre los mejores del mundo.
Por eso nuestra sanidad pública está entre las mejores del mundo.
España te espera con la misma luz, la misma pasión y la misma vida de siempre.
Para conquistar una cima, lo más importante es querer hacerlo. Y este país quiere.
Porque en este país nunca damos un punto por perdido.
¿Y sabes por qué? Porque somos luchadores. Créeme, sé de lo que hablo.
España es diversa. España es tolerante. Y es de todos.
Pero sobre todo, en España sabemos disfrutar de la vida. En eso también somos campeones del mundo.
Seguimos siendo lo que siempre hemos sido. Un país en el que se puede confiar.
Por cierto, en España usamos la palabra sure también cuando queremos decir safe. Por algo será.
Este partido se juega en todo el mundo. Contad con nosotros. Juntos lo ganamos seguro.
Endeavor for some reports on 4.400 when you're ready.
SpaceX is ready to copy for 4.400.
Okay, for tablet percentage MS177, CDR 84, PLT 87, MS279.
All right, SpaceX copies. Reading back. Tablet power is MS177. CDR is 84. PLT is 87, and MS2 is 79.
Good readback.
Station Houston on 2. We've had a good vestibule pressurization and leak check. You are go to pick up and ingress part 2, step 3.
All right, that's great news. Picking up in part 2, step 3 for ingress. Thanks.
If you're just now joining us, you are watching the live broadcast for the Crew 2 mission for SpaceX and NASA. The Crew 2 Dragon Endeavour has docked to the International Space Station. They're currently working some procedures to process opening the APAS hatch, which is the hatch on the International Space Station side, as well as the hatch on the Dragon, Crew Dragon, prior to crew ingress onto the space station. And what you're looking at on your screen is Crew Dragon Endeavour docked to the International Space Station. We are hearing some call-outs as they're walking through some procedures, so we're keeping up with the teams. Again, this process does take a bit of time.
So if you're just joining us, the Dragon itself is attached to the International Space Station. The crew inside, namely Victor Glover, is making incremental steps to open up the hatches between the International Space Station and the Dragon itself. Glover waited for thermal equalization of the vestibule in between each of the hatches, the station side and the Dragon side. After thermal equalization, he brought it up to about 5 pounds per square inch, performed a leak check, and everything looked good, so he proceeded to increase the vestibule pressure to equalize with the International Space Station's pressure. With vestibule pressurization complete, and after a few checks, Glover will be given the go to open up the station side hatch, the APAS hatch. Once that's open, he'll be able to see the Crew 2 astronauts inside the Dragon Endeavour. There's a small window on the Dragon hatch that he'll be able to see them. And his main job before opening up that hatch will be configuring the station side hatch. That hatch is configured with a docking target. It's a small rod with an X on the end that provided guidance for the Dragon during its approach to dock with the International Space Station. He'll remove that docking target and provide some padding to allow the safe entry into the International Space Station for the Crew 2 astronauts.
Victor Glover is one of the NASA astronauts that flew on Crew 1 about 6 months ago. Victor Glover is one of the NASA astronauts that flew on Crew 1 about 6 months ago. Preparing the space station for Crew 2's arrival. This is Victor's first mission on the International Space Station. First time that he has been to space, so it's pretty cool that he gets to welcome the Crew 2 team and help get them on board the space station.
And Station Houston on 2 for Node 2 video. Yeah, we were wondering if we could get permission to come on board in Node 2.
You're welcome. Please come on board.
Okay, and we'll need the high-def camera powered on.
All right, so we've been very lucky with some of the external views here. This coming from a camera on the Japanese exposed facility pointing at the forward end of the International Space Station where the Dragon is currently docked. Crew Dragon Endeavour. Very shortly, with permission from Victor Glover, we should be getting some views from the inside of the International Space Station and seeing what Victor Glover is up to. He's at the forward end, inside the pressurized mating adapter, going through his procedures to configure the APAS hatch, getting it ready to open. We did hear confirmation earlier that the vestibule is pressurized between the two hatches, those hatches being the station hatch and the Dragon hatch.
Looks like we got that live view on the station.
I think that's Soichi Noguchi on board the International Space Station. It's Colonel Mike Hopkins, NASA astronaut and commander of the Crew 1 Dragon Resilience, coming into frame as well. There are 7 crew members currently aboard the International Space Station, not counting the Crew 2 astronauts who are on the other side of that hatch. Once that hatch is open, there will be 11 crew members on board the International Space Station. Sort of forget that you don't really need to be in an upright position to work from this orientation. We're looking sort of in an upright position. If you look down or nadir from this position, you would go straight down towards the Earth, but you can see clearly Soichi Noguchi upside down. Mike Hopkins was just upside down. You don't really need to be in a particular orientation to work.
Coming into frame, that is Victor Glover.
And there's Mark Vande Hei from NASA, who arrived earlier this month on the Soyuz MS-18 rocket launching from Kazakhstan, with 2 Russian cosmonauts, Oleg Novitsky and Pyotr Dubrov. They'll be joining for the welcome ceremony to welcome the Crew 2 astronauts aboard as well.
Another thing to point out, you could see that each of them are just wearing socks. Don't really need shoes to be on the space station, since they're not really walking anywhere. They're floating around.
Yeah, they use their hands really to propel themselves from module to module, but their feet, you can see some of the blue handrails situated around the International Space Station. Ooh, there's a good shot of how astronauts typically use those handrails. They'll wrap their feet underneath them to stabilize them. Looks like the pressurized mating adapter is used for some stowage, so there's looks like Noguchi and Glover are reconfiguring some of the stowed items to allow some room to open up the A-Pass hatch, the hatch on the International Space Station side, and provide a pathway for the Crew 2 astronauts to come through the hatch to be welcomed in Node 2. So again, the vestibule is pressurized between the Dragon hatch and the station hatch. You can see Noguchi working on the station hatch. His next procedure is to go ahead and open it. And you can see, confirmed, A-Pass hatch is open. Noguchi taking some initial photographs. Part of the procedures will be to survey the hatch itself, inspect for any foreign object debris.
Houston Station, big loop, A-Pass hatch open, and that's dry, and seals are clean.
And Houston copies, and you can continue in step 4.
Dragon SpaceX for procedure 4.400.
Go ahead, SpaceX.
All right, Shane, when you're ready with that A-Pass hatch call, that does unblock us to go into section 5 of 4.400 when we get there. Additionally, when you're ready, we are ready to collect inventory in section 3.
Okay, inventory coming to you, and we're ready for section 5 after that.
SpaceX copies. Thanks.
Thank you, Thomas, for the inventory. So just quickly compared to what I reported prior, the only delta is 2 bottles from from bag 204 in location 9. All the rest is as per our previous report. So I'm not sure you need all the details of what's remaining because I kind of gave the detail of what we've consumed from the food locations. I can give you the details. It's your call.
SpaceX copies. If there's no delta from your previous report, we don't need it. But I will read back. That was 4 bottles from bag 204.
Two.
Copy that. 2 bottles from 204. Last question for section 5 of 4.400. Does that 2 bottle include the additional bottle that will be used in step 5.1, or will we require an additional bottle?
I know it's a good question, Arthur, and we're working on this, so you can add another bottle for this section, and we'll grab it from 206.
All right, SpaceX copies. Thanks, Thomas. We'll take 1 bottle from 206. And Thomas, SpaceX, last question. Can you confirm no food deltas from previous report, or did you also consume midday meals for today?
No, we didn't consume anything. The latest last food consumption was the one I reported before.
All right, copy. Thank you.
All right, you just heard the core here in Mission Control Hawthorne communicating with the crew on the inside of the Dragon. They're behind this camera view that you're seeing here. This is the center line camera of Crew Dragon Endeavour. You're getting a look at Soichi Noguchi as he outfits the APAS hatch, getting ready for the astronauts inside Endeavour to come through the hatch. The hatch to Dragon is still closed as Noguchi continues to outfit that APAS hatch. He took some photographs upon entering into the vestibule that you see here and took some photographs to survey the APAS hatch, make sure the seals look good, reported that they all looked good, so he's continuing with the procedures to attach some pads and remove the docking rod from the center of the APAS hatch. APAS standing for Androgynous Peripheral Assembly System. It's just the hatch on the station side, the last one until you get to the Dragon hatch.
Dragon SpaceX, question on procedure 4.012, suit doffing.
Go ahead, SpaceX.
All right, Shane, just wanted to follow up. We wanted to confirm that all 4 suits are drying, and then when ready, when we can come back on board.
All 4 suits are drying. Some of them have been drying for an hour already, and you are welcome to come back on board.
Copy that, Thomas. Thank you.
Very cool. Got some words that we might get some camera views inside of Crew Dragon with the Crew 2 team already doffed their suits, confirming that their suits are drying as they are waiting for ingress on the International Space Station. What you're seeing on your screen is Soichi Noguchi getting this vestibule area set up for the Crew 2 ingress prior to opening the Crew Dragon hatch. Once that hatch is open, the crew will not immediately ingress onto the space station. They do need to follow a few more procedures just to make sure that everything is good to go before they ingress on the space station.
So you see some of the padding that's needed to outfit that A-pass hatch. He's just wrapping it around the metal structure that is the station side hatch. He'll do this to completion. On the other end, we'll hopefully be getting some views from the inside of the Dragon cabin and seeing both perspectives from the Dragon side.
Dragon SpaceX for awareness. Cameras are back on board.
Thanks. Welcome on board.
All right, we'll hopefully get those views inside Dragon soon. Meanwhile, Soichi Noguchi continuing to outfit the hatch. Again, this is one of those steps to get all of the hatches open in between Dragon and the International Space Station. Now getting views from inside Dragon. The crew have doffed or taken off their suits. And so now they're dressed and ready for the welcome ceremony. Once they get on board, we'll have some hugs and they'll have a chance to talk with some of their crewmates before getting in front of the camera to officially welcome the Crew 2 astronauts aboard the International Space Station, an orbiting complex that will support a crew of 11 until Wednesday the 28th is the planned undocking time for the Crew 1 astronaut, Soichi Noguchi. Currently one of those astronauts that will be departing, along with 3 American astronauts, including Shane Kim, Mike Hopkins, Shannon Walker, and Victor Glover. All right, looks like Noguchi has that A-pass hatch wrapped. You can see just above him, he used a series of padding and blankets to wrap the metal structure that is the station side hatch, and now he's inside the vestibule. You see some of the tubes he's bringing in the vestibule section that are peeking through towards us on the pressurized mating adapter side. That'll allow the circulation of some of the air from the station side and remove any carbon pockets that may appear in the environment of the space station. So we're a little more than an hour and a half removed from the docking, the official docking
Houston,
time.
Hawthorne Endeavour Station is ready for Dragon hatch equalization.
Houston, copy.
Endeavour copies. Endeavour copies.
NASA astronaut Mark Vande Hei coming in to help out. The crew on both sides getting confirmation. The next step's underway to get that other hatch open. There's one more hatch. You see the station side hatch open at the back end of the pressurized mating adapter there. There's one more hatch, the Dragon on the Dragon side. And the crews on both ends are working through to open up that hatch and welcome the Crew 2 astronauts on board. Just going to stand by for a few minutes for pressure to equalize between the International Space Station and the Dragon hatch before go ahead and opening that final one.
And Endeavour Houston, can you confirm readiness for hatch equalization?
Endeavour's ready. Endeavour's ready.
Okay, station and Endeavour, stand by for equalization. It's expected to take 5.5 minutes.
Station copy. Endeavour copies. Endeavour copies.
All right, so you heard that equalization time. A timer is set for about 5.5 minutes to allow that pressure to equalize between the pressure inside the environment of the International Space Station and the pressure inside the Dragon. That pressure has to be equalized within both spacecraft before the Dragon hatch is open, one of the steps to open up that final hatch. So we'll just stand by as that equalization is underway. In the meantime, you can see in the pressurized mating adapter, Mark Vande Hei currently moving some stowed items around, creating a clear pathway for the Crew 2 astronauts to enter the International Space Station once they head through the hatch, being assisted by Suichi Noguchi. We've also seen Victor Glover, who was primed for monitoring Crew Dragon's approach to the International Space Station. So it looks like Glover is resetting the camera position there. That view provided a nice angle downward into the pressurized mating adapter to see some of the activities happening for opening up the hatches. Now Glover's just getting that camera set up for the next activity, which will be a welcome ceremony. Putting it in a good position to frame or allow to frame 11 astronauts to squeeze into that shot. I think that'll be an impressive feat by itself.
Yeah, that is quite a bit of people, especially for the International Space Station. But it'll be really cool to see them all together.
So right now it's looking like the procedures to undergo opening up the hatch. Again, we're still waiting for pressure to equalize between the space station and the Dragon itself before opening up that hatch. But it seems like we're on a good timeline to start a welcome ceremony on time. That's expected to begin at 4:45 a.m. Pacific, which will be 7:45 a.m. Eastern. Gathered inside Node 2 now, you see over to the left is NASA astronaut Mark Vande Hei. Going from left to right, we have Crew Dragon Resilience Commander Mike Hopkins, followed by Soichi Noguchi and International Space Station Commander and NASA astronaut Shannon Walker. How do you fit 11 people on camera? That's what we want to know.
And that's what it looked like they were trying to figure out. Trying to get into position to see probably where that camera should be and where they should be facing.
Yeah. All right, we'll get periodic handovers from the views we were seeing on board the International Space Station as well as Dragon. The views being provided through tracking and data relay satellites, geosynchronous satellites that provide that video feed from the International Space Station. Right now you're looking at mission control in Hawthorne, flight controllers looking after the Dragon Endeavour and its systems. Dragon will be configured for a long duration stay aboard the International Space Station, eventually being configured for a quiescent mode. Will remain there for 6 months with periodic checks, of course, to check on the status and health of the spacecraft itself before it departs 6 months down the road.
And Endeavour and Station hatch equalization has started. 5.5 minutes wait time.
Endeavor copies. Station copies.
All right, so the pressure the equalization process has been started between the International Space Station and Crew Dragon Endeavour. The clock starts 5.5 minutes. After that clock runs out, the teams will verify that the hatch is good to open between the Dragon and the International Space Station. We're still tracking to start the welcome ceremony at 4:45 a.m. Pacific time, 7:45 a.m. Eastern. We'll hopefully get to see the crew in early, but they'll be able to do some hugs, get settled, and then get in position to start the welcome ceremony. We'll keep you up to date if that time does change, but it seems we're looking good so far for the Endeavour crew to enter into the International Space Station.
It looks like we got that live view back on the International Space Station, where they are preparing for the Crew 2 to ingress and getting set up for that welcome ceremony. You can kind of see them all coordinating with each other on where the cameras need to be and where they want to do this welcome ceremony. We're currently waiting for equalization of pressure between the International Space Station and Crew Dragon prior to opening that hatch on the Crew Dragon.
So again, we're in the middle of a 5.5 minute timer as equalization is underway between the pressure inside the International Space Station and pressure inside the Crew Dragon Endeavour. So we'll just wait on the status after that 5.5 minute timer and the okay to open up the Dragon hatch. It may be some time after the Dragon hatch is open until the Crew 2 astronauts enter into the International Space Station. But we're tracking a welcome ceremony to formally begin as of now in 45 minutes. Keep you up to date in case that changes.
Looks like we just have a different camera view on the International Space Station. And that is JAXA astronaut Soichi Noguchi that you see in the frame right now.
preparations happening on both sides. We're mostly getting views from the International Space Station side, but the Crew 2 astronauts are inside the Crew Dragon capsule getting configured. Because once they enter through the hatch, they'll join the 7-member crew of Expedition 65 that's currently aboard the International Space Station and conduct a welcome ceremony. We'll see some hugs and shared camaraderie among the Expedition 65 crew for a little bit, and then formally welcome them to the to Expedition 65 aboard the space station.
Dragon SpaceX for 4.400.
Go ahead, SpaceX, on Dragon to ground.
Hey Shane, just looking for confirmation of completion of Section 5 of 4.400.
Section 5 is complete.
SpaceX copies, thanks. And additionally, last check is completion of procedure 4.012, suit doffing.
Yeah, sorry, we didn't let you know that. 4.012 is complete.
Much appreciated. Thank you, Shane.
All right, a few checks from the crew operations and resource engineer.
Dragon SpaceX on the big loop for hatch open.
Go ahead for hatch open on the big loop.
All right, Dragon, you are go for hatch opening per the decal on the hatch, followed by the remaining actions in procedure 4.400, section 6.
Okay, that's in order.
Good words that they got the go for opening the Dragon hatch.
It's fantastic news. We can kind of see the hatch from this angle. Hopefully it remains unobstructed. We may be able to see the, yep, you can see the handles moving a little bit. Yes, there it goes.
Again, this is being opened from the interior side of the Crew Dragon vehicle. So this is the Crew 2 crew performing this work right now. It looks like the crew on station is getting excited, peeking in.
I can feel the energy for sure. All right, Dragon hatch is open.
Already seeing a bunch of smiles.
All right, that Dragon hatch, the final hatch that we've been waiting for since Endeavour docked to the International Space Station 2 hours ago, 2:08 a.m. Pacific. 4:05 a.m. Pacific is the time that Dragon hatch was open. Already seeing some smiles.
So again, as we mentioned, the Dragon hatch is open, but the Crew 2 members still need to finish walking through some remaining procedures before they can ingress onto the space station, including photos. It looks like you can see the the crew posing for some pictures there.
On the big loop, hatch is open.
SpaceX copies on the big loop. Hatch is open.
All right, again, the hatch was open at 4:05 a.m. Pacific. The space station and Dragon flying together in unison. Attached, Endeavour attached at the forward port. Those vehicles were 267 statute miles over the South Pacific to the east of New Zealand.
SpaceX Endeavour, 4.400 complete.
SpaceX copies. 4.400 is complete.
So as a reminder, even though the Dragon hatch is open, it still may be a couple of minutes until the crew, Dragon Endeavour astronauts actually ingress or enter into the International Space Station to be welcomed by all of the expedition's 65 crew members currently aboard, who are eagerly awaiting them to come on board their new home, the International Space Station, for the next 6 months. It's a couple of procedures. You see some of the air ducts.
And the Houston Dragon in 2.102, step 6.1 IMV duct installation complete. You are go for IMV fan activation.
Houston copies. We'll put that in work.
Okay, yeah, so some of those procedures that are happening on the Dragon side, they're going to install some IMV ducting, mixing the air of the International Space Station environment with the air inside the Crew Dragon Endeavour. They're going to seal some of the LiO, or lithium hydroxide cartridges that scrubbed carbon dioxide inside the Dragon capsule on the ride up to the International Space Station. They're going to check some vent valves, so it may be some time until we actually see them welcomed aboard. But just these last final checks are critical before they leave the capsule that brought them up to the International Space Station. Make sure it's good to go, because it will remain docked here for the next 6 months.
It looks like the station side crew is ready, and they're just waiting for the Crew 2 crew to ingress onto the space station here in a few minutes once they finish their procedures. And lots of smiles. They look very excited for this right now. If you're just now joining us, the Crew 2 Dragon Endeavour is attached to the International Space Station. We are just eagerly awaiting the crew on board Dragon to ingress onto the space station here shortly. They're finishing their final procedures. Both the A-Pass hatch and the Dragon hatch are open. So we should just be a few minutes away from the Crew 2 astronauts ingressing onto the space station.
Meanwhile, in the frame now, you can see the 4-person crew of Crew Dragon Resilience. From left to right, you have Victor Glover, Shannon Walker, Soichi Noguchi, and Mike Hopkins.
And Soichi doing some flips for us.
That's right.
This is the Crew 1 crew, waiting to welcome the Crew 2 crew, whom they will hand the baton off to. They'll spend approximately 5 days with the Crew 2 astronauts as they do a handover prior to Crew 1 coming back to Earth as early as April 28th next week.
Endeavour Houston, Endeavour Houston, you are go, and step 6.3.
You go and 6.3 for Endeavour. 6.3 for Endeavour.
We got some communications from Houston to the Crew 2 members on board Dragon. Continuing with the next procedure. Again, they should be ingressing on the International Space Station here very shortly. Crew 1 crew hanging out on your screen there, waiting for Crew 2 to ingress.
Again, all the hatches are open between the International Space Station and Dragon. The crew of Endeavour just going through some last-minute checklists to make sure that Dragon Endeavour is configured properly before they leave it, which successfully carried them from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida to the International Space Station over the course of just a little more than 23 hours. Docking with the space station earlier this morning at 2:08 a.m. Pacific. Coming into frame here, you see at the forefront of the frame is NASA astronaut Mark Vande Hei joining the Crew 1 astronauts. All of them currently members of Expedition 65. As part of their mission to stay on board the International Space Station for a long-duration mission of science, maintenance, technology demonstrations, and upgrades.
If you're just now joining, you are watching the live broadcast for the Crew 2 mission. We are currently waiting upon the ingress of the Crew 2 astronauts onto the International Space Station. They have already docked. Both the A-Pass hatch and the Dragon hatch are open.
New to the frame on the left there is Roscosmos cosmonaut Oleg Novitsky. He was the commander of the MS-18 Soyuz spacecraft that made its way to the International Space Station earlier this month with NASA astronaut Mark Vande Hei. Also on board is Pyotr Dubrov, who hasn't been in front of the frame yet, but he'll be part of the welcome ceremony as part of the 11-member crew that makes up Expedition 65, currently aboard the space station.
Station Houston on 2. Station Houston on 2 for scene and voice check for upcoming PIO event. We're good with the scene check if we could just get a voice check. And Shannon, we are not picking up any audio.
How about now? Having things on works better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And Shannon, we did hear you that time. We're checking. And Shannon, can you give us another long count?
Sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Copy, thank you. We're checking. And that's a good voice check.
And SpaceX Endeavour on space ground for LIO.
SpaceX is with you on space to ground for LIO.
We were trying to install the LIO with the bag cover. That is LIO 1. Oh, correction. Yeah, LIO 2 in the bag and in the non-active storage area. And while we were pushing in, it tore the bag and it cut that bag pretty big. Would you like us to proceed with this or go without the bag?
Copy that.
Just to let you know, the seal is on that LIO cartridge too.
Copy that, Dragon. Just to read back, there's a tear in the LIO bag as a result of trying to insert into the LIO slot. Stand by, we're going to get you some forward actions.
Okay, copy. And we do have a camera pointing at it right now. It's a cargo camera.
Copy that, we see it, thanks. Dragon SpaceX, can you confirm if it is LIO cartridge 1 or LIO cartridge 2?
Yeah, the LIO cartridge 2 is in the bag. LIO cartridge 1 is secured in the active location with the seal on.
Copy that. Stand by 1. Dragon SpaceX, we are going to have you stow that LiO cartridge without a bag. How copy?
All right, for those of you joining, we're in a handover period with some of the tracking and data relay satellites, geosynchronous satellites that provide the video feeds we were seeing and enjoying from the International Space Station as we eagerly await the crew inside Endeavour to enter into the International Space Station. The Expedition 65 crew members, all 7 of them gathered inside of the station on the other end of the Dragon's hatch, eagerly awaiting for them to get inside. Flight controllers here in Mission Control Hawthorne just undergoing a series of checks, final steps really, for the astronauts inside Endeavour to undergo before they enter through the hatch and leave the capsule that brought them up to the International Space Station. Some of the LiO cartridges you're hearing are lithium hydroxide cartridges that scrub carbon dioxide from the environment of the Dragon Endeavour capsule. Now regaining some of those views. Once the 4-person crew of Endeavour comes onto the International Space Station, there will officially be 11 crew members on board as part of Expedition 65. We're still on track to start a welcome ceremony here in a little less than 15 minutes. We'll have representatives.
Dragon SpaceX, repeating a call. We did have a teacher's handover. Want to confirm that we will stow this cartridge without a LiO bag. We just want to verify that the seals are secure on each side of the LiO.
And just to verify, seals are secure on both LiO cartridges 1 and 2.
SpaceX copies. Thank you.
And SpaceX, please let us know what to do with the bag itself.
So from left to right inside the International Space Station's.
Dragon, SpaceX copies. We do want to save this bag so we can look at the RIP in the future. Stand by, we're going to get you words on where to store it.
And Endeavour copies.
Crew of Endeavour still working through those last-minute procedures. Again, LiO cartridges or lithium hydroxide cartridges that scrub carbon dioxide from the environment of inside Crew Dragon Endeavour. You're getting live views from the International Space Station side. From left to right, we have Roscosmos cosmonaut Oleg Novitsky, followed by International Space Station Commander and NASA astronaut Shannon Walker. coming down from the...
LIO bag. Sorry, could you repeat where to stow that bag?
Stand by, Dragon. We are finding a good common bag to put it in for temporary stowage.
Okay, copy that. We'll just stow it for now.
Copy, Dragon. If possible, we can also put it in a trash bag in location 17. That would be bag 111.
Okay, copy. We'll get a trash bag from location 17, bag 111, and put it in there.
Okay, copy. That is bag 111, and that is actually location 18.
Location 18, bag 111.
In this frame, all 7 crew members of Expedition 65 currently on board the station gathered to welcome the Crew 2 astronauts aboard Endeavour. On the top left is NASA astronaut Victor Glover. You see Soichi Noguchi in the foreground on the right there. On the far right is NASA astronaut Mark Vandehei. Mike Hopkins is just behind Soichi Noguchi there. And Roscosmos cosmonaut Pyotr Dubrov is on the zenith or space-facing side, sort of the ceiling from this shot, all gathered and eagerly awaiting for the 4-person crew of Crew Dragon Endeavour to come on board.
En la aviación en general y en Airbus en particular siempre hemos tenido muy en cuenta la seguridad de los pasajeros y de las tripulaciones a bordo de nuestros aviones. Es por eso que hoy todos los aviones que salen de las fábricas de Airbus están equipados con lo que llamamos filtros EPA. Los filtros EPA o High Efficiency Particulate Arrestors son captadores de partículas de muy alta eficacia. Todo el aire de la cabina se renueva cada 3 minutos por aire que viene del exterior y que por sí mismo no tiene ningún tipo de patógeno, y el aire que se recicla de la cabina pero que pasa por filtros EPA y por tanto es un aire también limpio y seguro. Entra por las entradas que hay en el techo a la altura de los compartimentos de equipajes y sale por el suelo. De esta manera el flujo de aire va de arriba a abajo y minimizamos lo que son flujos de aire longitudinales a lo largo de la cabina para evitar cualquier tipo de contagio. Con este flujo de aire de arriba abajo y con filtros EPA que se utilizan, por ejemplo, en los quirófanos de los hospitales, con lo cual garantizan un aire muy puro, garantizamos que el aire dentro de nuestros aviones es de la buena calidad que
Once
necesitan
they
los
ingress, there
pasajeros y
will
las
be
tripulaciones.
some
Tenemos recomendaciones
welcoming
de
hugs and
encender los sistemas de
smiles,
ventilación del
and
avión
then we will
antes de que
have
los
an
pasajeros entren
official
para poner
welcome
en marcha todo
ceremony.
este filtrado y toda esta ventilación adicional. Y si vamos incluso
It's been a
más
long
lejos,
journey
el
for the
pasajero tiene
four-person
también su
crew
responsabilidad para
of
protegernos
Endeavour.
a
Took
todos,
them 23 hours
lavándose las manos,
to make
con
their
gestos
way
tan simples como
to
lavarse
dock
las
to
manos
the
o ponerse una
International
mascarilla.
Space Station earlier this morning. That docking time at 2:08 a.m. Pacific. The Dragon hatch was opened at 4:05 a.m. Pacific. Helped to get them to the orbiting laboratory today.
Houston Station 2, unless anybody's opposed, we're going to progress with ingress.
Endeavour, welcome aboard. You are go to ingress.
Endeavour arriving.
We got some confirmation that the crew is go for ingress, and you can see Aki is the first to ingress onto the International Space Station.
And Gwyn.
And Gwyn.
Followed by Thomas Pesquet from the European Space Agency.
Lots of hugs and smiles right now.
Pilot Megan MacArthur of Crew 2 is next, being welcomed by the Expedition 65 crew members, and Shane Kimbrough bringing up the rear. The 11-person crew of Expedition 65 now together inside Node 2 of the International Space Station.
Though we can't even hear audio in there, you could really feel the excitement just by the looks on their faces, the hugs that they're giving. Now they're getting ready for this official welcome ceremony. You can see them getting into position. With
let the Tetris game of fitting 11 crew members into a single frame begin.
Right. 12. Gwyn.
Oh, that's right.
Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Houston, this is station. We are ready for the event.
Mr. Jurczyk, please call station for voice check.
Station, this is Steve Jurczyk. How do you hear me?
Steve, we have you loud and clear. Welcome to the International Space Station.
Hey, man, it is awesome to see the 11 of you on station. It's incredible. Congratulations, Crew 2 on an amazing launch yesterday. Coming to Kennedy Space Center and watching launches never gets old. And seeing the pre-dawn launch yesterday was amazing. So congratulations. I also want to congratulate the NASA and SpaceX team for our third commercial crew mission in less than a year. A lot of firsts on this mission, including the first crew handover of commercial crew vehicle, and it was really cool during docking to see one Dragon docked on the Zenith port and the other Dragon coming in for docking. So it was amazing. April has been an amazing month and a really busy month for ISS with Mark, Pieter, and Oleg launching to ISS. Kate and her Russian colleagues coming back. Crew 2 there and now preparing for Crew 1 to come back. And I am really excited for all the research, technology development that is going to